Hi, I'm Scott,
And I'm Luke.
and we're Android guys,
Give us 5 to 10 minutes of your day
and we'll tell you about a product or service.
or an app that you might be interested in.
Yeah,
This is another classic.
this is it's Android at its heart,
Yeah.
but it isn't something that's promoted as being Android.
Right.
It's kind of one of those things where that's the beauty of the platform is it can power things, and people don't necessarily need to know it.
Yes.
And Amazon has done a tremendous job of using that to its benefit.
Okay.
To kind of push its own tablet line for
Mhm.
quite a while now.
Yeah.
So I have had a chance to play with one of their latest devices, the Fire Max 11,
Ooh, nice.
which is a most current generation tablet from them.
Mm-hmm.
And I had some different Kindle Fire type devices in the past. Some of them are strictly, Kindle would be like the book reader.
Yes.
Kind of, there's the classic ones that are black and white, e-readers.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get into something that's a little bit more traditional tablet with like the Fire tablets.
Mm-hmm.
The Fire Max 11 is a little bit of a different animal. And it is a much more, in theory, capable device. I'm going to spoil my full review. You could read it now. It's online, but
Okay.
I'll jump to it now and just tell you, I kind of wish Amazon would have stayed in its lane a little bit here.
Oh, okay.
I feel like it endeavors to be more than it's capable of being because of some limitations in the software. So it's not to kind of throw shade at the Fire OS, which it's its own thing.
Yeah.
Some people love it. Some people hate it. I can kind of tolerate it. I'm a Android pure stock kind of experience.
Sure.
I like things lean, clean. Yep. If it's going to have some customization, I want it to come from me.
Right.
I have been more than fine with the different Fire tablets in the past.
Sure.
I do sometimes find like the home screen or the things that it recommends to be somewhat cluttered and kind of throw all of these things like, hey, here are some books we recommend. Here's your audio books.
Right.
Here's some magazines. Here's some stuff from Goodreads. Here's the parent portal that you can kind of control all the kit. Like there's just all these things. And It's kind of, to me, it's a little bit clunky.
Yeah.
But I get it. And I fully understand how it works for other people.
Yeah.
It's just not my jam.
Yeah.
One of the things with the Fire Max 11 is it's kind of it wants to be or is capable of being a kind of like a 2-in-1 device.
Sure. Well, I mean, with some of the specs, it's like, this is a pretty capable device.
Yeah. It's 14-hour battery. It's like an 11-inch display, 8-megapixel camera.
Yeah.
I mean, it's Wi-Fi 6 capable or ready. It's 4 gigabytes of RAM, octa-core processor. It's got all of these great things.
Yeah.
And on paper, it is great. It competes, I would say, at the price point of $229. I think that it's maybe a little high when you... I'm trying not to sound like I don't like this thing.
Sure.
I tested it out with the kind of like the productivity bundle. So it came with a stylus.
Okay.
And it also has this keyboard that kind of like magnetically attaches to it.
Cool. Okay.
The case kind of, you can stand it up, kind of fold out the legs like a kickstand. So it's kind of like this little workstation.
Yeah.
My main issue with it is some of the things that I would want to do with that type of device, I couldn't do with it because the apps just weren't in the Amazon App Store.
Right. So I think one distinction for this is it doesn't have access to like a Play Store.
Yeah, there is that. That's a whole other conversation.
Yeah.
But out of the box, there's no Google Play Store.
Sure.
Which means it's not Google software for Gmail, Calendar, Google Drive, Docs, all of the little things that you might be using or accustomed to using on your phone.
Sure.
And that's kind of the ecosystem that I've just used for the last 15 plus
Sure.
years. Somebody who doesn't necessarily do that or need that can kind of move in and out of different things. That might not matter.
Sure.
And then there's a whole conversation of what's possible
Right.
with that.
Right.
So it has its own app store, which by and large has a lot of the same things. So if you're like, oh, I just want to get Facebook, well, that's there. I want to get, whatever apps.
Farmville.
Yeah. So they're there.
Yeah.
But Airtable, Slack,
sure,
Gmail, some of these things that I kind of like live in, Todoist, some of these just aren't available.
No, they're still a web browser,
They're
right?
still web based, yeah. So it's got its own browser, and you could still go on to use the web, kind of optimized versions of that for a tablet.
Right.
But I don't want to do that.
Right. I want everything here.
Right. So if I had just a tablet itself, and I didn't feel like I wanted to sit down and like type out emails with a physical QWERTY keyboard, because it's got this folio case that I open it up, I can sit down and start to type things out. Or if I want to write a draft of a review or put together some show notes or something, it's much easier to do that with a physical keyboard. And I love the keyboard with it. And when it comes to the stylus, if I want to mark up some things, it's there, but I can't, I don't feel as free to kind of go and do some of those things because I'm kind of limited on some of the software. Other than that, it's amazingly fast. The graphics are great. Games play amazing on this thing. It's a really nice tablet.
Yeah.
It's probably one of the best tablets I've seen from them to date.
Sure.
But if you're looking for that productivity, maybe do a little research into what some of those apps are for you, and whether or not you want to do that with this type of thing.
Sure.
Because by the time you start to add in the keyboard and the stylus, you're looking at another $100. So at $330, you're like,
is that the right? Yeah.
Am I in Chromebook territory now?
Sure.
Am I in Microsoft Surface?
So, yeah. So, yeah, that's a good point. How is, speaking of the productivity suite, how is the stylus response and stuff like that?
It's great.
Yeah.
It's great. And I actually found myself using it. So when I think of Kindle, my whole experience with them for the past, I would say almost a decade now, it's probably the best thing for me when it comes to a lean back experience.
Sure.
I love the fact that it's its own silo, and I don't have my Gmail. I don't have chat, Hangouts, Duo. I don't have these constant pings that come from living in that Google ecosystem and using a Chromebook or picking up a phone or a tablet. All of these standard Android things, it's easy to kind of pick up a tablet and start reading a book, and then, I'm going to switch over to my email. I'm going to do this. I'm going to switch over to Google Keep because I've got a couple of notes that I want to take. Now, I'm not normally able to do those things with a Kindle or, the Fire Max. So I love that separation.
Yeah.
This kind of takes that lean back away and kind of gives me this like, hey, this thing can be a lean in experience for you.
But not quite the experience you're hoping for.
Not quite the one I was hoping for.
Sure.
So mileage varies for everybody.
Yeah, right.
For the lean back, I was using the stylus I was downloading and playing. Like I had Audible, listening to a book, and I was doing like coloring book kind of stuff.
Right.
Things that I was using a stylus for that. Like,
nice.
There are other things that you can do with it that it's not strictly like, hey, this is for Evernote and document markups.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be productivity based. It can be fun.
Yeah, and it does stick to the side of the tablet.
Nice. Okay.
That is something also that, when you compare the two, like another brand that has a stylus that might fold under the case and kind of magnetically attach to the rear. This one, I said to my wife, I feel like I'm going to lose this stylus transporting it around somewhere in my house because I'm just going to set it down and I'm going to knock it loose and then forget where it was.
Sure.
But this isn't, again, I'm really trying not to knock this thing and make it sound like I don't like it because I really do. I love it.
Yeah.
It's a fantastic tablet, but for me, I went into it thinking, oh, this is actually going to give me all of the lean back stuff that I love. Plus, when I'm ready, I can lean into this
Sure.
and do more.
Sure.
And then I kind of wish I didn't.
Right.
So I've kind of gone back to, I like this case. And
yeah, it's maybe find what you're looking for,
Mhm.
and then this might fit it.
Yep. So there are other options. You can get this with 64 gigabytes. There's a 128 version.
Okay.
Some of them will come with, one of the things that you'll find are lock screen ads.
Mm.
So there's a difference of about, I want to say $15 to go from one version to the other, where the lock screen ads kind of show you that's what they are. When you power it on and before you open up the thing, you'll see a recommendation for a product or an audiobook or something from your wish list or something like that. So for some people, it's kind of like paying, to remove ads in a game.
Right.
Here you pay $15 is the difference to get that. So again, if you're really kind of comparing like the full capabilities of this thing, that's another thing where you look at the price, and when you get all the way at the end, you might be looking at a different product for your needs.
Right.
But all that said, the Fire Max 11 is an awesome tablet.
Mm-hmm.
It looks great. Magazines are amazing on it. It sounds great. The camera's really nice for a tablet. So if you set this thing on the table and kind of like lean it back and use it for video calls or whatever, I think you'll really, really enjoy this thing. But it just depends on what do you want to do with it.
Sure.
So yeah, that's my spiel for the Fire Max 11.
Awesome. Thanks, Scott.
You're welcome. All right, that's going to do it for this episode of the podcast.
Thanks for listening.
We appreciate it. If you guys have any questions, feedback, concerns, comments, anything, shoot us an email at podcast@AndroidGuys.com. We'd love to hear from you one way or the other. Luke, if someone wants to get a hold of you, how do they do that?
I am on Instagram and Twitter at Luke Gaul, Gaul.
And I'm on Instagram at Scott Webster and Twitter as SWebster77. Until next time, thanks for listening.
See ya.